Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Mulder, and tonight I have with me one of my good friends and special guest. His name's Koby, and he's an engineer. And we've been working on a couple of things with a computer scientist over in Asia, and and what we come up with is pretty phenomenal. And I don't really want to get ahead of myself on this thing, but anyway, what we're looking at here is basically the next generation of machines, and it's if we can pull this thing off, we're talking about comparing a Model T Ford to a Tesla. That's how far advanced this next generation is going to be. But with that said, let's go ahead and bring on Koby. All right. Well, Koby, see, like I said, we've worked together on other shows and that kind of a thing. And if you would kind of give people a general background of where you're coming from when it comes to electronic engineering, and how did you get introduced to radionics?
Yeah, man, sure thing. So, starting from the beginning, I was just, I'm a lifelong tinker, started experimenting with electrical and mechanical things at a young age. That led me to studying electrical engineering in college, which, that was somewhat rewarding. And then I kind of went with it. I did electronic around.
Hey, Kobe, you're starting to break up. I can barely hear you. I don't know what your signal's going on. Something's happening here.
Oh, okay. Is that better?
Better, please. Whatever you're
Oh,
doing there, don't. Okay.
so, yeah, it's probably just the connection, man. We can figure something else out if it gets any worse. But
Okay.
where I was going with that is around the time that I was getting into experimental electronics, I found a recorded lecture by the writer William S. Burroughs for a creative writing workshop he was giving called On the Technology of Wishing, and that first planted the idea of the radionics machine in my mind. And he was sort of using it as a motif in fiction. And then I did my research, and I figured out the history and that this was an actual thing, and I got into experimenting with it somewhat. And then when I met you, it kind of opened the door.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, you've seen how these machines work, and I mean, as an electronic engineer, you're looking at this stuff and saying, "How in the hell does this thing work? It's nothing but a giant dead short." I mean, in your mind, from what you've seen so far, why do you think these machines work? I mean, there's no right or wrong answer here. I just want your opinion.
Well, I think it's more so just a tactile thing. I think it's having a symbol, associated with yourself and your consciousness and your subconscious than actually being a working electronic device. One thing that I'm working on as I get more into this practice is deconditioning the electronics theory kind of out and approaching it more as a applied art than a science.
Right. Yeah. There's another friend of mine. His name is Mobius, and I met him through a mutual friend, Joshua P. Warren. And he and I, we discussed this machine many, many times over the years. And, he's kind of like you. He says, electronically, this thing should not work. But, he's already or he has done several experiments that the odds of them becoming successful, I mean, it's beyond. Like talking to, he was a little upset with the set director for a Star Trek movie that I think J.J. Abrams was put together, and he really was unhappy with it. He wanted to talk to that set director, and for no particular reason, a chain of events happened where he was looking up Star Trek memorabilia, and had this one person that was selling some of the stuff, and one thing led to another, and that was the guy that he was looking for. He was the actual set director for that movie, and it's just like the odds were just beyond. And I think he had another deal where he set up a machine for a Coca-Cola to appear, on a particular table in his house, and there's no way anybody would know about this, or that he made this quote unquote wish or what have you. And the next morning he wakes up and there it is. I mean, it got there, through normal means. Somebody dropped it off for him, but the fact that of all things they dropped off a Coca-Cola and he set it right where he wanted it to go, and so that was. That was kind of his introduction to radionics, and what it did was increase the probabilities of something happening, and that's what I've come to the conclusion. I think these machines are basically, they're intent machines, but they are also working with the probabilities in reality for things to really take shape and take form, and I think that's what I've come to the conclusion. I've mentioned many times before that my hypothesis on why these things work is it's based upon the double slit experiment, which is pretty much just observation and measurement of a particular thing, and they noticed that just by simply observing and measuring, that you're able to change the outcome of an experiment. And it doesn't make any difference whether or not it's a human looking at this thing or if it's something electronic. I mean, we discussed the other day about how they were using an electronic monitor in the original experiments to see what the heck was going on behind the scenes. And when they put that monitor into the experiment, it also had an effect by simply monitoring and observing something that was electronic.
Exactly. We were talking about that, like something that's really important to keep in mind, that you are the most important component in the machine.
Mm-hmm.
It's awareness, it's your consciousness that's playing the crucial role. And I think that's why these things work all the way down to the symbolic level. If you just print the pattern onto a piece of cardstock, you can get results because it's
Mm-hmm.
all about the relationship to the specific layout of symbols that makes it work.
Right, exactly. Charles Casamano, aka Uncle Chucky, he was doing he had a similar uh, theory of, that basically all we needed was dials, and he printed out that very same thing. I even saw it. He had a book that he put together that was page after page of these dial, these little virtual dial machines, and he said by simply turning the dial, he was able to get results. But the point of it is, even with all of that, he felt that his results were better and faster by using an actual physical machine, like what we do, what we're working on right now. And does that have anything to do with the operator, or does that have anything to do with the machine having a better way of manipulating reality than just using dials printed on a piece of paper? Who
Yeah,
the hell knows?
I think that another important element of this, like in mine and your experiments, is that we're actually building these machines by hand, and we're putting ourselves into them, so to speak. It's a very DIY approach. So there's
Hmm.
already an association, with I mean, you make it and you use it. It's all a product of your consciousness from beginning to end, and in that sense, it's entangled with you.
Yes, I agree with you on that. But what this thing has done, and again, we've been working with this computer scientist. I think his original idea was to create an app where you could send a signal directly into the machine. And you've been working with this guy, and you guys, you finally came up with an actual way of doing this where we wouldn't fry the electronics inside of the devices, and we could use this tech or use this particular application with any machine that's already been, it's already out there. Um, but with that said, again, realizing that it really doesn't take a human to to affect the outcome of reality or the outcome of an experiment. When I realized this, that human consciousness, yes, it does come into play, but it could be substituted. That's where I came up with the idea of what would happen if we were to introduce AI into these machines. In other words, have AI be the operator for the machines. We'd set up the AI to do with the outcome that we're trying to find or trying to obtain here, and what the AI would do working in conjunction with machines, if they go through every step of the way to making this idea or this intent become or to manifest itself. And it pretty much takes the human element out of the scenario. The human element comes into play by actually setting up the machine to work with the AI. Now, with this said, I mean, what we're looking at here is having something that every step of the journey, it'll come to two doors. It'll have two choices, door A or door B. And what it will do is analyze what is the potential outcome if I go through door A, what's the potential outcome if I go through door B. And then when it figures out these two outcomes, it will take the path of least resistance or the best of the two choices. And I continue to do this all the way through, until it actually manifests the objective or the end game. And because of this, I think what we've done here, again, I think we've set a new level for the machines where we have AI basically take control over this thing. It works 24/7 and is constantly updating the input of the machines. What is your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, first of all, talk about an intellectual three-way. Dr. Mulder, our friend in Japan, and myself.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think it is like AI is a very organic system. Like an analog to this would be Conway's Game of Life, and it develops over time and adds on to itself. There's emergent properties of it. And you can think about the computer, minus the human observer, is analogous to the camera in the double slit experiment, like we were discussing earlier.
Right, exactly.
So I take it as like, I mean, we're basically creating a radionic algorithm. We're taking a computer and giving it electronic sense organs.
Yeah, exactly. It has an interface with reality.
Exactly.
I mean, radionically.
You can think of it as like, what's an output system. So you could.
You're breaking up on me, Kobe. I didn't hear you.
Oh, okay. Is this a little better?
Yeah, a lot better, please.
You take like a computer controlled like musical keyboard or something like that, but like MIDI data is sort of what I think is related. But you're basically sending the output to a radionic system or a tapophone or another psionic device, and it can engage with material reality. I mean, if you want to think of it like that.
Yeah, yeah, and so I came up with this idea. I think it was either yesterday or the day before yesterday, and I called. I think it was just the day before yesterday, and I was kind of thinking about what our computer science guy. I'll just call him CSG, computer science guy. What our computer science guy was doing. With his idea and thinking, okay, how can we improve this? And I thought, oh shit, well hell, let's just go ahead and let's just go all the way and introduce AI in this thing. Basically, have an artificial mind that's working in conjunction with us for a set outcome. I talked to our mutual friend Robin about this the other day about AI, introducing AI into radionics, and her feeling was that she thought it was inherently evil, that there was something satanic or demonic behind AI. And I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to disagree with that because I really don't know. I can't really argue with something like that because I really don't know. But
well, it's not a question. Like if original sin, so to speak, can carry over from humanity into its creations. And I can understand that perspective, but I think it's much too ambiguous to make a definite stance.
Yeah, I mean, can you not build that into the programming where it basically shields itself from any kind of evil doing or any kind of evil outside forces trying to control that particular program? I think it's very possible of doing this. I mean, hell, it's like any other computer program. What you put into it is what you get out of it. And I'm thinking if you build that as part of this, part of the thing as where you have control over it ultimately, and it doesn't do anything to harm you or or what have you, or your reality to mess things up, I don't see how that could be a danger. But that's just me. I mean, there's always the law of unintended consequences.
Yeah, I mean they're already censoring AI in a lot of ways. It's like Chat GPT. There's certain things that you just simply cannot get out of it. It can search for a certain keyword, or if it picks up on if the algorithm knows the intention that you're trying to get out of it. If you're trying to use it in a malicious way, or what's deemed as malicious by the comments, it won't allow you to do that. So it's definitely possible to control it. And
Break it up on me again there, Kobe.
I was just saying, like, they're already censoring AI, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's already there. It's
Exactly.
already
So
it's
it's very
already integrated. Yeah. Well, this way, I mean, basically, all you do, way I envision this thing is you set the AI for a journey, for the end game, for an objective, to do this, maybe whatever it may be, to do something, and and basically, 24/7 is just making millions and billions of calculations on how to accomplish this. And as it does these calculations, as it does these, makes these steps toward the journey, like in say Sim City, the video game, as it builds its path or builds up whatever the hell it is that you have it set to accomplish. Uh, that this thing is working 24/7 again, and just going toward that path uninterrupted. I don't see the evil behind that. Basically, I see it as being, you know, nothing. There's no emotion here. It's just a machine. It's just carrying out. It's just doing a job. It's a tool. That's
Yeah,
how I
it's
look
just a
at it.
robot, right?
Yeah,
Um, it's like you have like the three laws of robotics, but at the end of the day, a machine only has whatever ethics you program into it.
right. Exactly. Exactly. And I think what you came up with, some of the devices that you just that you showed me, that you put together in the last 10 days. And I'm looking at this stuff and I'm thinking, oh shit, this is it. This is the interface. This is the interface with AI and radionics. And again, as I put all this stuff together and saw the implications of it, and again, because of the laws of this country, I am not making any kind of medical advice or trying to give anybody or tell anybody what to do. I'm just saying I'm looking at the future of this thing. Say, for example, in health, outside of this country, of course. Uh, you know, these health watches that people wear, okay, that constantly keeps track of a person's blood pressure, heart rate, whatever. I mean, I think I even have some of them that's constantly testing blood sugar for diabetes. A million different things. These things are probably capable of doing. And what that you're constantly getting a stream of data points that are being fed into the AI, and the AI is constantly looking at all these data points and seeing, okay, is there a potential health issue here? Is there a health issue here? If there is, the AI would be working in conjunction with, say, for example, the wacky, wonderful world of Rife machines. In other words, it would work in conjunction with a Rife machine, and as the person would, as this issue comes up, the AI would immediately establish, okay, there is an issue, and then it would set up the frequencies with the Rife machine in order to treat that issue immediately, and without even the patient being aware of it.
Yeah,
And
exactly. I mean, this is all within the potential. And the crazy thing to me is thinking about how something as primitive as the aux cable, which is the first thing that we developed together,
right,
was the jumping off point for this.
right. Exactly, and working with a Rife machine, I I didn't really realize this until about 4 or 5 months ago. I think it was the last part of around November of last year. I did not realize that this Rife technology is basically radionics, because they can treat a person with Rife. I think it's called Spooky 2. I think it's the name of the brand of this particular machine I've investigated. It's one of the more reasonably priced machines out there. And I'm looking at this thing, and apparently all you need is something that contains the DNA of the patient or the person that you're, working with the right machine on. And this was interesting, very interesting here, because basically the patient doesn't even have to be in the same room. They could be on the other side of the world and be just as effective. And I thought, okay, this is radionics. Rife is radionics. And if it's not radionics, it is acting like a radionics machine. And so the point of this is, yes, you don't. The patient or the person that is working with the Rife machine wouldn't even have to be in the same room or in the same country, for that matter, as the AI is working on them. I mean, all I was looking for is the data points, and taking these data points, or this data, and actually figuring out, is there an issue here that needs to be taken care of, or something that needs to be followed up on in the future. And so, what I see here is just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, just in that one thing alone. But kind of getting back to this thing. I mean, how would AI make things better for a person? And again, I think it's the efficiency of having this basically do your job, but it's constantly working as like the machine, which works 24/7. The AI would be working in conjunction with the machine to do the very same thing. It's working 24/7 to find the best course of action at a particular, with a particular set of circumstances. And what I see here, again, I think this will massively improve the probabilities of success with these machines, and it'll keep it'll keep the human factor out of it to as much as possible. Um, so, I mean, that's kind of my thoughts on this particular idea here. I see nothing but absolute potential, positive potential for this thing, and what can happen. Because I think of, my ultimate goal here. I'm gonna kind of put this past you. Maybe you think I might be a little out there, but I'm looking at this thing as possibly leading us to a radionics quantum computer. What are your
Yes, sure. I believe that to be the logical next step. And another note on the ethics, it's the same as a firearm, for example. The ethical weight is on the user.
Yeah, exactly. It could be used for. I mean, hell, it could be used to go hunting and bring food to the put food on the table, or it could be used to do something really malicious and for a violent crime. I mean, it's just entirely up to the operator, the person that's behind it, and how they use that tool. I mean, my analogy was, you can take a can of gasoline and you could use it to put in an ambulance so that you can take somebody to the hospital, or you could use it to burn down a building full of people. I mean, it's the ethics behind it. I mean, what is your intent behind that particular by the use of that particular item? And I agree with you. The ethics is up to you. What is your, how do you feel about this on a particular operation? I've worked on some operations where people might look at it and kind of go, I don't know about that one, but it is what it is. And I remember, again, this Joshua P. Warren and I, we were sitting in a bar one evening, and we were having a few drinks, and we were talking about this, and I was telling him about a couple operations, and Joshua, looked at me and said, "Hey, Brad, aren't you afraid of karma?" And I looked directly at Josh, and I said, "Josh, I am karma." And so, the point of it is, it's your attitude. It's your attitude about it. How do you look at this stuff? And I have to say, myself, I feel very fortunate and very lucky. I mean, I don't think I've really had anything negative happen to me. I mean, I've had, the typical bullshit that goes on in life. Of course, I've gone through, the trials and tribulations, but all in all, I mean, my life has been vastly improved by dealing with this tech.
Absolutely. It's however you want to calibrate your moral compass.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think mentally healthy individuals already born with with a sense of right and wrong. I mean, you're born that way. It's part of your DNA. I mean, and I don't care what the culture is or whatever, but we all have a sense of right and wrong, and what you do with that, that's entirely up to you. That's free will. I have no. I'm not a judge here for that. I mean, that's between you and whatever your belief system is. Just keep, I have nothing to do with it. Just keep me out of it. Hello?
Hearing,
Okay, yeah. Hey,
I'm hearing the
I hear you're
vehicle.
an engineer. Yeah, I hear you're an engineer. You might want to fix that. Yeah.
Yeah, Tesla Jr. What can I say?
Yeah. Somebody said, "Oh, he's the reincarnation of Tesla." I was like, no offense to Kobe, but I don't think so. Good try, but I don't think so. I'm sorry.
I'm like a reincarnation of his pinky toe on a good
Yeah,
day.
yeah. I'm like a reincarnation of the shop help. You know, I, I mean, you know, I kind of a side note. Tesla was kind of my introduction to the wonderful world of inventing. I think it's happened like in the early '90s. I had a lucid dream where Tesla came in and he was. It was like I remember this dream like it was yesterday. It's like I have very few lucid dreams. This was one of them, and I'm like this leather top desk, right? It has like this old time banker or this green lamp, like what they use like in banking or whatever. Tesla's on the other side of the desk, and he looks at me, and there's this device sitting on there, and he just looks at me and he says two words: "Pursue it." And that was my beginning. Within a month from there, I flew over to Colorado Springs, and I saw the place where he was doing his Colorado Springs experiment. So that was like basically the forefront of, or where he was gathering, or all the where he was testing some of his theories, which in turn was the beginnings of Wardenclyffe, the Tower of Wardenclyffe, where he was planning on powering the entire world from one location, using the Earth's crust as a conductor.
Yeah,
And
exactly. The forefront of wireless technology.
yeah, exactly. And I got to see that. I think now it's just a softball field. I mean, there's nothing there, And I think there was a museum at one time over in Colorado Springs. It was the Tesla Museum, and I got to meet people there, and they showed me some of the things and kind of introduced me to what he was doing. I mean, hell, uh, but I kind of look at what Tesla did and what he was doing, and it just because of that, I worked on a couple of patents for optical engineering. I never took an optical engineering course in my life. It's just that for whatever reason, things just kind of I was working with another inventor, and as a result of that, we had two patents, and just in the optical engineering field. I think it has something to do with projectors, like LED projectors, something along that line. But but and then one thing led to another, and I was working on this thing called a capacitor paradox. I mean, it was kind of it was a free energy fool's gold, is what it was. It gave you the illusion that you were using electrical current twice, or getting twice the work out of the same amount of energy, but in reality, it's just an illusion. The way it's set up, and so, but that taught me a lot about engineering. Even though that was kind of a failure, that taught me a lot about how engineering works when it comes to electricity and electronics. And so I didn't really consider that a negative whatsoever. And then the next thing, was going into radionics, and I got into that after. I think what really motivated me was a webinar that, like I said, a friend of mine, Josh, he put on. Hell, this had to have been 13, 14 years ago, about the wishing machine. And I saw this webinar, and he started discussing, the his experiments with it and that kind of a thing. And I got to see the inside of this particular model, and it was definitely weird. It was a weird looking machine, and it even had like a schematic of the Hieronymus machine on there. That schematic that's in the book, Mind Machines You Can Build, and and a couple of little weird things going on inside the machine. And apparently this thing worked, and so
I'm
that's
sure
how I got
from
my
your
start.
background, I'm sure from your background that you looked at that schematic and you said, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what the, how does this thing work? And I had no clue. And I kind of, I went back to that Mind Machines You Can Build, and I reread that thing several times. When it came to these devices, they had this thing called the wishing machine in there. That's what it was named. And I looked at it, and they had like two different versions. One was electronic, and the other one was virtual, which just basically had a drawn circuit. There wasn't even a real circuit inside this machine, and apparently he was getting results from both of them. The one I stuck with was the electronic one. That seemed to make more sense to me, and so went one thing to another, and that's where we're at today. Now we're looking at possibly putting AI, interfacing AI into these machines here, and I think that's where the next generation lies, because what we're going to do ultimately is this AI. I think it's going to become a radionics device on its own. Eventually, that's where it's going to all head. And when it goes quantum, which means that that time and space are really irrelevant to the situation, where it becomes sort of its own mini time traveler, and it seeks answers from the future and from the past, where it's not here, it's not static. Its clock, its internal clock, is not static. It will be able to move. It'll go back and forth, whatever the hell it wants to do. That's what we're looking at doing here. I wonder, can we possibly make a radionic, quote unquote, time machine, ultimately with
Right,
these machines?
exactly. You see, that's the forefront of a paradigm shift, really.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, using AI as an extension of your consciousness. Okay, that's kind of, I think, in a weird kind of way they look at it. You get AI to say, "Hey, I want you to write a book about this, this, and this," and they'll put together a bunch of bullshit and come up with a book for you in 5 minutes. Yeah, you could go that route, but then again, you could be more hands-on with it and feed it data, as to how you want this thing to ultimately play out. I don't
Yeah,
know.
the more you engage with it, the more you're going to get out.
Hmm.
You have to
Hmm.
create something with AI.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be an interface here, a human interface in it, but it's going to be minimal compared to the way it is now. I mean, we're going to have the way I see this thing again. Ultimately, is taking AI and like the machines, it becomes an extension of your consciousness.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, so yeah. So what other ideas do you have on this? I mean, I've been yapping here for the last 20 minutes on this stuff. I mean, what do your personal opinion on where you think this thing's going? I mean, the floor is yours.
Uh, well, the greatest thing about this experience is it's basically an extension of what I was already doing. The psionic concept is just sort of tagged on. So, with this collaboration with our friend over in Japan, computer science guy, I've found that I can take a lot of these analog circuits I've been experimenting with and simply interface those to a computer. I mean, they can interface to a computer just as well as they can interface to one of these radionics machines. So it's a natural extension of that, right?
Exactly. And really, what I kind of envision here, I don't know if how far off I am from this, or if this is even possible. I think it is now. It's basically, like how we have virtual reality, right? People they'll be in a room, they put their goggles on, and they have like their whatever the hell their sensors for these gloves and all this other stuff to kind of give them more of a tactile, interface with the virtual reality. Now, that's the way I kind of look at AI. It's basically its own virtual reality, but it's programmed to, for a particular outcome. And, you can go along for the ride or you don't have to. The choice is yours. If you interface yourself with it, I think that it might be more adventurous, more fun. You're more hands-on with the machine. I mean, the option is yours. You don't have to, but it's there for you. If that's what you feel like doing. If you like to, tinker with something and and kind of follow it step by step as it completes its programming. I think that's a good option. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And something to keep in mind about psionics is it's far from an exact science. I mean, it's basically chaos magic, and we're also at the avant-garde
Breaking up.
technology. Oh, my bad.
Okay,
Uh,
go ahead.
I was just saying, I mean, something that's important to keep in mind about psionics is that it's not an exact science, and it's still very new. There's very few people experimenting with this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess we're kind of like we're. I wouldn't say we're the pioneers of it. I would say we're probably close to being the pioneers of this tech. Uh, yeah, I really don't see a lot of people out there working on it. The only people I really see that. Yeah, there's a lot of people that work on different aspects of radionics when it comes to radionics, but it's basically just the old school stuff. They're not really taking it to the next level, and and honestly, I get bored easily with this, with things, and I'm always trying to improve it, and always trying to, how can I, interface this with other things and make it do something that really wasn't designed to do. And I think that's where we're come to right now is, you know, uh, have a have this technology working hand in hand with an artificial intelligence that in turn is there that is manipulating reality. That's
Same time.
radionically.
That's the spirit of engineering at its core.
Well, it is what it is. I mean, like I said, either I just get bored, Kobe. I mean, that's my biggest problem with these things. After you figure it out, I look at this stuff, and it's kind of like the analogy I always like to give is when you watch a magician, he does a trick. Okay, it's magic, but once you know how that magician did that trick, it's no longer magic anymore. Okay, it's two different things, and that's what I've noticed here. With radionics, after I kind of figured out how it basically works, it's no longer magic to me. And hell, I've been working. Speaking of, I am going to be observing a group of magicians here toward the last of April. They're going to be out in the middle of Utah, and I've seen the where this place is at. It's very secluded, and I'm going there basically to tell them, talk about radionics and magic. And I looked at magic. I don't care if it's white magic or black magic. It doesn't make any difference to me. But what these magicians are doing is basically the other side of the coin of radionics. They're doing the same things that we do in radionics, but they're using their tools are a little different. And what I'm doing here, working in conjunction with a guy by the name of J.S. Garrett, is introducing radionics into the world or into the field of magic. Because I think once they understand uh, what the potential of this tech is, a lot of the things they're doing right now, they're going to change.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would consider. I mean, radionics is basically experimental magic. It's chaos magic, right?
Yeah, as the definition as I see it, it would be considered magic, yes, but it's not really magic. I mean, it's just we're following the laws of physics, huh?
It's magic being understood as technology.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And all this is just the interface of consciousness with reality or your reality, because your reality and my reality are two different things. You look at things differently than I do. We may be on the same highway, but we're in different lanes going at different speeds. And and that's how I look at the stuff. It really is. It's not. Once you once you understand the power of consciousness and the power of intent and the power of directing that intent toward a target or toward an outcome, it really does not. Again, it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't really. I don't see the mystery in it anymore, and I just look at it as second nature. And because of that, it's dropped a lot of fear from my life because I realized that reality is not what I originally thought it was. I mean, this thing is fluid, and because it's fluid, because it can change, that means that these machines are working. It backs up the premise that yes, these machines can change reality. I mean, hell, I did a show the other week on the Mandela effect. Yeah, you were there, Kobe, if memory serves. And you got to hear everything that we were discussing here about this, and the guest, Brian Stavely, what he was discussing when it came to the Mandela effect. And so, he was looking at things entirely different than I was, but, we both see the outcome. We both see the same thing, that there are effects, there are changes in this physical reality. And hell, I was even bringing up to him how the East Coast of the United States has changed since November of last year. I mean, you look at him, and he was kind of like, you see, that's what I kind of thought was a little strange because we had a cryptic guy on there, and this guy he was from Maine, and he's looking at the present geography of Maine, and he said, "Oh, this is not right." hell, Maine has changed. The Like I said, the northeastern part of the United States has changed. The geography has changed, and but that being said, that just proves that physical reality changes. That whatever this is that we're in, it's the illusion of a physical thing, but I don't think it's physical at all. I think it's all holographic.
Examples of pulling at strings, and if you pull out enough strings, the whole thing comes crashing down.
Yeah. Well, my question is, what is it? Why are these things changing, physically changing? Why are things rearranging themselves? What's the end game here? Is this an improvement on the existing, status of our reality of this planet? What the hell's going on here? Why are things constantly doing this? I mean, hell, we even know the anatomy changes are phenomenal. I think the location of the stomach has now changed too, from what I could tell. I think it's a little higher, or it's just relocated in the abdomen. Uh, and also, I mean, just these major organs, bone changes, and this kind of a thing. And I'm saying all this. Okay, we got anatomy, we got geography, history's changing, the whole 9 yards. So nothing is static. Nothing is constant in this reality.
And, and that's the question. I mean, is even the past dynamic? Can
yeah,
it be altered?
yeah. Well, right now we're looking at it. We've heard this in this reality that we're living in. There's this place called Tartaria and Tartarians. I never heard of these people before until recently, until like in the last, I would say 4 or 5 years. Tartaria, where the hell did this come from? And apparently now they were the ones that were responsible for the Taj Mahal. That was a Tartarian ingenuity that built the Taj Mahal, and you'll see similar architecture in Russia.
Well, Dr. Miller, this is my first time hearing about Tartarians, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You look at them now; it's all over history books. Genghis Khan apparently in this reality was a red-headed, green-eyed man. He wasn't Mongolian. He wasn't Asian. He was European.
What?
Yeah, Genghis Khan. If you look it up now, he's red-headed, green eyes, red hair. It sounds like an Irishman to me.
That goes against anything I ever was taught or learned.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Another thing too. If you go to the Great Wall of China, we were always taught that the Chinese built that to keep the barbarians away from China, prevent any kind of invasion. And if you
It's
look at it, now, it's all set up, like for archers or whatever, to protect whoever it was from the Chinese. It wasn't built the Chinese didn't build it. Somebody else built it to protect them from themselves from the Chinese.
no way.
You look it up. Yeah, because we're all the they have like you see these things like in castles. They've got like these oblong openings, and, these little slots that they would shoot their arrows through, and they had a place where they could take cover from incoming archer or arrows or whatever, and protect themselves. And if you look at it, it's all set up now to protect somebody else from the Chinese.
You see, those are the holes that bring the whole thing into view. That it's so illusory.
Yeah, yeah. And again, everything we're looking at here in the history, like you said, it's all changing. Now, my question is, have we already done this, and this is the results of this experiment? That we have AI that's already taking history and rewriting it towards somebody else's intent or their programming. You breaking up?
That's what I was thinking about. Could this whole situation be cyclical, and it's just turtles all the way down?
Yeah, are we going through? Are we part of the cycle of the next generation? What we're seeing right now is this part of a AI program that's in motion. It's taking reality and changing it around.
It's like something they did.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I rewatched. Matter of fact, it's kind of funny how all this stuff kind of came together. I rewatched this series on Amazon that was called Man in the High Castle. the first seasons 1 and 2 were really good, and they kind of jumped the shark with season 3. They just had to close up the series, and I think they were just grabbing ideas to make it work, and it really kind of got kind of hokey toward the last season. But the first 2 seasons were really right on target, I thought, as looking at an alternate reality. And I wonder if that's what we're looking at as an alternate reality. Because the things that are in history right now, the way this country has been set up, especially since the 40s, we are already living the man in the high castle. These people, after World War II, they came over here and were integrated in our science, and psychology, military, the whole 9 yards. They were the our quote unquote former enemy was now one of us.
Yeah, it's an entire list of names too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean NATO. People look up NATO, look up Central Europe military officers, and find out what their pedigree is, and you will be shocked. I'm not going to say it here on YouTube, but you will do your own research, and when you look it up and you find out, especially from the 1950s to the 1970s in NATO, the actual people who are running the show, when you find out who they were and you find out their history, you will be shocked, and you'll say, "What the hell did we fight these people for? We brought them back in." I mean, all the usual suspects from World War II, we brought back in, and they still remain in command, just under a different name, and we were paying for it. This is the damnedest thing I've ever seen. I mean, I don't want to. I hate to switch gears here on this, but it's just an example of reality being turned upside down. Our paradigm is being shot and just torn to pieces.
Exactly. And in The Man in the High Castle, something interesting about that is that they're breaking reality with the I Ching, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was in this particular, in the show. I listened to the book on tape. I did a lot of driving. I was listening to the book, and the book is a little bit different than the show. But yeah, the I Ching. This guy was looking at it as a way of reality. It goes back to that. Door A, door B. You see the potential future. Do you take that future, or do you go somewhere else? Is there an alternate reality? And I think that's part of what it was showing. I mean, it gives you the free wills coming into play here, or quote unquote the illusion of free will possibly coming into play, and making choices and changing the probabilities. And even without staying out of radionics, just every day. I don't care if you're getting up and you're wondering what you're going to have for breakfast. You have the more variables you have, the different, the more choices you make, and the more choices you have to make, that means that gives you many different paths that your reality may take that day, just by even picking what you're going to wear to the office, or what you're going to eat for breakfast. Just these decisions will have implications, great or small, with other aspects of your day.
Exactly. If you graphed it out, I mean, it would be analysis paralysis to the extreme.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm kind of looking at this thing, you know, uh, have an AI do your job for you. Yeah, it could do your job for you, but still, you got to be on. You have to look and see how it's progressing. See what it's coming up with. You're asking for it to do something, and you still have to monitor it, make sure it's on the path that you want it to go on. But what I'm looking at now is basically taking a AI, or taking a virtual reality and interfacing it with our reality, and making our reality change toward the virtual reality, or what we see in the virtual reality. It's going to be well within the laws of physics of this universe that we live in, but it will increase the probabilities to do different things in different ways.
So, on that note, would you like to give a short synopsis on the Tepaphone? Because I'm going to get into the audio controlled Tepaphone.
Okay, sure. Okay. The telephone, the history behind this, the first one ever built was for Charles Casamano, Uncle Chucky, and what it was, and here's how he told me the history behind it. It said back before magicians, they would take kerosene lanterns. They may have like a lens in front of it, and they have a glass slide with a sigil, or whatever it may be, and they would have a picture a photograph or a portrait of the target that they're wanting to project something toward. So what they would do is they would put the slide in front of the kerosene lamp, and it would project this sigil or this whatever it may be toward the target. All right. Well, he said, let's do this electronically. So what, how we started was we take LEDs, take a regular white LED, and I would connect it in such a way where the output of the radionics device would be entangled with the light that was coming out the LED, and basically using the light as a carrier wave. And so that's how we got started. So what it's doing is it's kind of like working. It's doing radionically. It's just using light to instead of whatever the energy is that's coming off a regular machine, it's being enhanced by using light to do to work in conjunction with the machine. Is that a good enough explanation, or do we need to go deeper?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay,
So
go
my
ahead.
addition to this, my addition was to simply make the LED in the Tepaphone audio controlled so that the light undulated along with the audio signal.
Hmm.
So that
Yeah,
replaces the sigil effectively, and it can also be interfaced with any smart device.
yeah, exactly. So basically, what you're kind of using the basics of fiber optics technology, correct? With this thing.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of looking at. This is sort of like I don't know, the hands of the AI. This will be its interface with radionics. One of the ways of doing this. What I see here is, I think AI it has its eyes and its ears. Okay, it can gather data. It can make this quote unquote decisions using the data. It can figure out the probabilities on something on which path to take. All right, that we have that variable there. All right, but when it comes to this, when it comes to the actual getting over the hump or of actually having a way to interface itself with reality to make these changes happen. This is I'm sure they have other ways of doing this. Other working with like traffic, working with other computers to make other decisions. Like say traffic timing a traffic light or sending a patient to another hospital or whatever it may be. Okay, it has its own variables, okay, involved in the stuff. All right. But with this right here, what we're doing is we are controlling the variables. We are looking at it and we're giving this thing arms and legs where it can actually interface with this reality, and whatever the course that it takes, it will be able to radionically go into this reality and alter it.
So instead of a static sigil, you have a dynamic computer program.
Yeah, exactly. It's building off that sigil. It's working with that sigil. That's the primary starting point. But it's taking that sigil and it's going through all the variables, working in conjunction with that sigil or that thought form that you're projecting into the AI, and it's just taking it to another level. It's just going through the path. It's calculating the path of how to make it. Pardon me.
The AI role in this is to basically create an organic evolving thought form.
Correct. Exactly. That's actually it's calculating and hopefully we'll make a better decision we can because they'll have more data points and be able to take that data and have more of a logical path than a human being would. Because its only agenda is to accomplish the goal. There's nothing emotional about it.
Whatever task you give it.
Whatever task you give it, I don't care what it is. Whether it's like a hell, originally what I was looking at AI, my interest peaked with it was I was looking at this thing as possibly doing automatic trading. In other words, having it look at all the variables for a trade for say a cryptocurrency or a coin or a stock or a commodity or whatever. And okay, will the price go up? Will it go down? If it does go up or go down, how much? So you could possibly make a reasonable assumption if you were to do a trade on this. How would you make to help you make an intelligent decision to make money off of a trade, just by providing you with the most up to date, most uh, the best data you could possibly have on making that decision. And that's what I was looking at AI for. It was actually doing the trades for me automatically, where I don't have to think. It's just an extension of me. It's there as a computer 24/7, going back and forth and doing these trades. That was my original idea using AI. And I thought, well, shit. And then the things that you and CSG were working on, uh, that's right. That's when it all came together and said, okay, well, hell, we've now we'll be able to take uh, AI and use it and integrate it with radionics and do it efficiently. And the rest, I mean, it's just, right now I see where this thing is going. It's just a matter of, putting it all together. And luckily, we got a guy that we're working with. This man's top notch, and he knows his shit. And he's going to be the man that helps us interface uh, or program AI so to more efficiently do this, to interface it with radionics devices. And again, the way this thing's being set up is you'll be able to use any machine that we have that I've built over the years, any one of them, as long all it has to do is have input and output jacks. If it has that, you'll be able to integrate that into artificial intelligence.
Absolutely. And the weight is on the user to either give the AI helping hands or Lovecraftian tentacles.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, exactly. And like I said, the technical part of this thing, and what I love about it is the simplicity. And really, it's not going to take a lot, And we're not really going to discuss how we're going to do it on the air, but this is not brain surgery by any sense of the imagination on how this is going to be done. And I just love the fact that we've come up with a way to cheaply and efficiently figure out a way to do this. And I'm like I said, I think we're about ready to go ahead and get the ball rolling here. Within a month or 2 months, we're going to start introducing the devices to. I think we're going to start small with this application that the computer science guy had come up with, was the using a smartphone, interfacing it with the radionics devices. Yeah, I think that's probably where we're going to go with this to start off with. We're going to start small, but ultimately, where this thing happens is we're going to be creating new realities, artificial realities, and projecting them into this reality to make changes. That's where it's going to ultimately go with that. And then once we get that taken care of, I see the final phase of this entire experiment is going to be quantum computing. That's where it's going to wind up at. That's where it's going to end. And that may be, at the rate we're going right now, I would say that's probably 5, maybe 10 years down the road, if that long.
Yeah, your little Apple VR goggles are going to have nothing on this technology.
No, no. I mean, not only are you seeing, yeah, it's virtual reality, but you're taking that virtual reality and you're going through the steps of making that an actual physical reality. That's where this is. That's where this is the next step here. I mean, actually interfacing with something like this and have it go into reality and make changes. And again, the outcome of this, it could be a positive thing, it could be a negative thing. It's entirely up to the operator. I'm a firm believer in free will, and I will not judge what a person does with these machines, because the way I have it set up, their reality is not going to mess with mine anyway. It's not going to interfere with mine, because I've dealt with a lot of, I wouldn't say, I would say people who were, I wouldn't even call them vindictive. I would just say that they were a little wacky and they were trying to throw bad mojo my way, and I had to take countermeasures. And basically, all I do is just shield myself and create a mirror around me, so whenever they bounce their crap at me, it just goes right back at them. If they don't cause any harm to me or try to attempt to cause harm to me, no harm will come to them. And that's the way I make it. They're the ones that decide whether or not they're going to screw up their day, not me. And
Psionics can be a sword and a shield.
yeah, yeah, it's the possibilities are endless. I mean, it's all up to you what your belief system is and what you feel you're capable of doing. And that's another thing too, Kobe. I keep, you know, I had this conversation again today with a good friend of mine, and we were discussing radionics and about this very same subject about the morality of it. And I said, well, I always leave it up to them. They make their own decisions, and they suffer their own. They either suffer or are blessed by by their own choices. I don't. I try to keep myself out of the scenario. But I told this individual, this good friend, I said, I have no fear. Once you see how reality truly works, and it kind of reminds me in the movie The Matrix when Neo he looks at everything around him and now he starts seeing code. He starts seeing that everything around him is made up of computer code. It's no longer real stuff. It's just a computer program. And in his mind, once he saw the reality of it, he was able to stop bullets. He wasn't afraid of Agent Smith. Agent Smith was a nuisance.
Exactly, and then you have some people that still want that computer generated steak.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, they're the ones that that uh, they're on the dark side of the thing of the this reality. But I look at it, again, it's up to you what you do with it. I leave it up to the individual. But yeah, there are people out there that they want to do evil stuff. And another thing too, it takes just as much effort and just as much energy to do good as it does evil. It's just like what I always tell people. I said it takes just as much effort to be a good person as it is to be an asshole. The outcome is entirely different for the two. If you're an asshole, somebody's going to probably turn around and be an asshole with you. But if you're a nice person, most of the time, good things happen for you. You get along with people. You are able to interact with people and get things done in a positive way. Again, the choice is yours as to how you react with your reality.
Absolutely, it's the weighted decision.
Exactly, it is. And again, I wonder. I know we mentioned this earlier. I wonder, has this already, what we're experiencing right now, has this already been done? And are we witnessing the outcome? The steps that you and computer science guy and myself are doing, have we already done this before, or was this already pre-written? Is this already part of the program? Because I see the implications here. Basically, we are actually going to interface freaking AI into the fabric of reality.
It's like the movie Inception, you know, it's just mirage inside of a mirage inside of a mirage.
Well, that's exactly what it is. I think Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, even though the guy did a hell of a lot of opium in his day, he did come up with something I thought was pretty very, or I thought was very perceptive. He said that as a line of one of his poems. I think it goes something along like this: "Is all that we see or seem, it is but a dream within a dream." And even he saw the reality of reality.
Hey, you know, sometimes junkies have some good insights, man.
Yep. I tell you, doing his lot in them. And just enjoying himself on the park bench over in Baltimore. Yeah, I can't think of a better place to be.
Hey, that'll
Um,
do it real quick. You'll have some insights in Baltimore, trust me.
oh God, yeah, yeah. The biggest insight is I want to leave. Um, I know people that left Baltimore with a big smile on their face. The They said the best view of Baltimore was in their rearview mirror.
Amen.
Yeah, no offense to people from Baltimore, but I'm just telling you, it's not the place it used to be. But anyway, neither here nor there. But yeah, I think this has been a good show here, Kobe. Is there anything you want to mention before we call it an end?
Yeah, this has been a great time, man. Let me just tell people where they can find me.
Please.
That's K underscore monad on Instagram. K underscore monad, and you can see some of the electronics work I do, and feel free to reach out.
Oh yeah, I mean this guy does it all. What's your forte? I mean your wheelhouse. Is it or your was it the musical instruments like what foot pedals, electric guitars, that kind of a thing? What's your big thing?
Yeah, foot pedals and synthesizers, and just being a joker, really.
Oh yeah, I mean hell, you're also a pretty good musician. I mean hell, you did the damn intro music for Cryptic Guy and Crew. I mean, how long did that take you to write that? Well, like 15, 20 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, something like that, man. I just have to be in the mood.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that worked out great too. That was perfect. I mean, you came up. I mean, I was thinking, I couldn't believe that you did that in such a short period of time. I guess you just hit the right, just everything just kind of lined up, and there it is. And I mean, it was just great. Matter of fact, I'm gonna probably get you to write do some intro music for my show. I think I'm gonna step it up a notch, try to become more professional. Pardon me?
I said I would love to do that.
Oh, fantastic! You're hired. And I'll pay you as much as Crypto Guy pay you. Anyway,
All right, I'm about to get
yeah,
twice as rich.
yeah, exactly. But the hell, I mean, I've been paying you in damn radionics devices. Come on, man. But no, it's definitely a interesting thing to do here. But yeah, like I said, I thought this would be something we could. I want to bring this up to everybody's attention tonight. I thought it'd make a good show to talk about this and kind of give people an idea of what I've been up to. Um, yeah, I've kind of for the last few months, I've been kind of keeping a low profile, and I had to, I had to go through, make a lot of decisions on where I was going to direct a lot of things, and it finally all came together. And as a result of that, I came up with this, the idea, some of the ideas that you and I discussed off the air, um, and it's really worked well for me. I'm just I'm getting, like I said, my biggest problem, Kobe, is I get bored. I truly do. I get bored, and I'm looking for that next thrill, and I think this is it. This is a thrill. This is going to be something that keeps me rolling in the game till I'm well in my 70s.
Yeah, man. When I get bored, it's dangerous. I usually get in trouble, but
Yeah,
sometimes I get a good idea. So,
but yeah, yeah. What is it? Idle Hands or the Devil's Workshop?
amen.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly. So, but no, again, I appreciate this, and you were able to bring some of the answers to the table on how to do this, and computer science guy, he was able to bring some answers to this, and hopefully, I was able to bring some answers to the table also. And now, what we've looked at here, by all three of us combining forces, we're going to not only are we going to change AI, we're going to change radionics forever. We're taking these two techs, bringing them together. And also, this stuff I mentioned earlier about going to Utah, that right there, I decided I was going to write a book. Everybody's been telling me, hey, Dr. Mulder, you need to write a book about this. You need to write a book. You need to write a book. And I'm thinking, what the hell am I going to write a book about that nobody else has written? And it came to my idea was, the magic, or why does magic and radionics actually works? What is the physics behind it? How is the interaction of consciousness and physical reality? How are they able to work, hand in hand and do this with no, do this remotely with no actual interaction with each other, physical interaction, just by mere thought and mere concentration, you're able to alter your physical reality. Yeah, and I think that is really the premise behind the book that I'm going to write. That's going to be my thing, and I've kind of laid out a few outlines on where this thing is going to go. And I think my research in Utah later this in April, I think that's going to really come in handy. And so that's what I got in mind. Uh, but this thing is really taking a major turn, and I have to say I'm no longer bored. I'm far from it.
Same
This
here,
is
man.
really, yeah.
I can feel the developments happening.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, this is just the beginning, guy. This is just the beginning. We're just, now that we know where to go, which direction to go, it's just a matter of going through the journey. And it's just the beginning. But now we have all the right people here. It's kind of like Lord of the Rings. We finally got all the right people in the scenario to make this work. Take the ring to the volcano, so to speak. We finally got all the people here to do this. And so it's really phenomenal. It's funny how nothing happens, and all of a sudden, click, 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 everything just falls into line. And this has been like in a matter of I would say 2, maybe 3 months. all this step or this stage of the game. That's how all this shit. That's how long it's taken for this to manifest. This, to actually go from, where we're at, looking at just some kind of electronic input into a machine to actually interfacing this thing with virtual reality. That's how it's happening within less than 3 months. It's gone from
Yes, we just
humble
opened the
beginnings to
door.
where it's at. Pardon me?
I said we just opened the door. We just have to walk through it.
Exactly. I mean, here we go. And that's where we're at. All right. All right. Well, once again, man. I mean, hell, we've been doing this thing for almost an hour and 10 minutes, dude. I didn't know. I was lucky. I was hoping we'd just do a half an hour, but hell, man, this has been one hell of a show. All right. Well, on that note, I'm gonna get going here. I'm gonna be on the air. I think we're gonna be doing a show on Sunday night. I think around 9 o'clock. It's Cryptic Guy and Crew, where Koby's on there. We have Robin, and we have another guy by the name of Chris, and we all get together. And basically, I think the premise behind this originally was cryptids, but I think we pretty much talk about anything. And it's just a great show, and you know, you know, uh, uh, Cryptic Guy. He's been a good friend of mine. Shoes. I think I met him through Josh back about 6 or 7 years ago, and like I said, we just hit it off immediately, and it's just been just a damn good friend of mine. He's had my back, and we've had a lot of adventures together, and because of that, you kind of came into the scenario, and along with Robin, and it's just building one nice paranormal family, so to speak. And I just like how things are coming together here, and how things are starting to really gel. It's incredible how the path that that this journey has been for me. As like I said, I think about a year, 13, it's almost 13 months ago. I had I had the trip from hell to Mexico, and and I tell you, I got to pay. I got to pay for that. That was really good. It's just one of those things where you ever, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to let you know this. This is just my own personal experience. Whenever you go somewhere, make sure you have a way to get the hell out of there at any time. I would say don't go anywhere that you don't bring your own vehicle. That's my primary directive now. I do not go anywhere unless I have a way to get the hell out of there, because I was put in such a circumstance in last February, and I just like, what the hell happened here? And you talk about you just watching people just melt down. It absolutely just change in front of your eyes, and they don't even realize they've changed. They think you're the problem, but in reality, they're the problem. And you got to experience all this stuff, and you're just like trapped in a freaking foreign country. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling at all. I was thinking about that the other day. Where was I a year ago? And I was in a beautiful place, but but it turned into a living hell. And like I said, it's one of those things. If I had the ticket to get the hell out of there, get the hell out of there that day, I would have done it. But and so my life is drastically improved from a year ago. Okay, it's just really been one hell of an adventure, and I have to say, I think part of the results of that trip, the aftermath of that trip, that was necessary in order to get me to where I'm at today. So the point of the story is, yeah, it may look like it's a total cluster fornication at the time, but in reality, long term, it's probably it's probably for your greatest good. And then I'll leave it at that. That's my closing thoughts. So, all right. Well, anyway, on that note, I'm out of here, and I will talk to you guys later. It's been an absolute pleasure, Koby. I appreciate you coming on the air with me and kind of putting your thoughts into the situation and what you brought to the table. Thank you
Yeah,
so
appreciate
much.
the opportunity, man. Take it easy.
All right, buddy. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off, and you would just stay on, and I'll talk to you here off the air. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. You have a good evening. Goodbye.